Below the surface of London, an engineering marvel 150 years in the making has grown and evolved, providing transport for 3 million Londoners and visitors from around the world daily. The first journey on London's Underground took place on January the 9th, 1863, with a ceremonial run on the line between Paddington and Farringdon. The 6-kilometre Metropolitan Railway opened to the general public the following day, with 38,000 passengers crowding into the gas-lit wooden carriages hauled by steam locomotives. One 19th century traveller described his journey on the Met in a letter to the Times newspaper. The condition of the atmosphere was so poisonous that, although a mine engineer, I was almost suffocated and was obliged to be assisted from the train at an intermediate station. With the introduction of electric trains in the early 20th century, conditions on the Hades-like tube improved. However, as one reliable chronicler of London at the turn of the century recorded in his diary, the compartment in which I sat was filled with passengers who were smoking pipes, as is the English habit. The inquiry into the 1987 King's Cross fire found the cause was most probably a traveller discarding a burning match that fell down the side of a wooden escalator. Despite the ban on smoking on trains and subsurface stations in 1985, smokers often lit cigarettes on the escalators on their way out. The blaze reportedly began at 1930. The evening rush hour was trailing off, but hundreds of commuters were still in the station, one of London's busiest. More than 150 firefighters wearing breathing apparatus tackled the blaze and bravely searched for survivors. The final death toll was 31, including fireman Colin Townsley. London's Underground has long been the target of terrorist attack. On the 2nd of January 1885, a bomb exploded in a tunnel at Gower Street Station, now Euston Square. No serious casualties were reported, although a train did receive minor damage and some passengers were cut by glass. The fear of terrorist attack returned in the 1970s with the IRA's mainland bombing campaign. As the dark clouds of war descended over Europe in 1914, men from Portland Road Station and from across London's Underground volunteered to fight in the Great War. With most men away fighting, women took over the role of men for the first time. On London's Underground, jobs such as ticket collectors were undertaken by women. Entering Baker Street, a memorial to the fighting men of the Metropolitan Railway can be found. These men were amongst those who, at the call of king and country, left all that was dear to them, endured hardness, faced danger, and finally passed out of the sight of men by the path of duty and self-sacrifice, giving up their own lives that others might live in freedom. London's Underground continued to operate during the Second World War, with Baker Street Station's surface structure damaged by German bombing. An estimated 170,000 people sheltered in the tunnels and stations of London Underground during the worst days of the London Blitz. At the start of the 21st century, the greatest threat to London's Underground has again come from terrorism. On July 7, 2005, ringleader Mohammed Siddiq Khan, aged 30, detonated his device at Edgware Road. The bomb on a westbound train heading towards Paddington exploded in the second carriage. It killed 6 people. Across London, 4 bombs were detonated that day. 52 civilians and the 4 bombers were killed in the attacks. Over 700 more were injured. Completing the 6-kilometre route of London's earliest underground, the Metropolitan Railway at Paddington. It is from this station today that London's Underground continues to grow and look to the future with Crossrail.